Hello, Namaskar and a very good evening to all the viewers watching NCRT's live interactive session. This is Simran Singh and you have all connected with us through eVidya channel number 6 to 12. Besides, viewers, we have so many different mediums through which you all can connect with us. And you can also participate in our live sessions by raising your queries, your questions in the comment section of our YouTube channel, that's NCRT Official. So it's around 4 p.m. on your watch and regularly from 4 till 5 p.m. We have our special sessions for all of you, and once again I would like to take this moment to welcome all our viewers, all the learners, all the teachers, all the students in the 5 days online training session on pedagogical perspective of virtual labs on Diksha. So today it's 10th of July and we are conducting the training session for all of you. It's the first day and for another 4 days, that is till 14th of July 2023, we are here with you discussing more on different aspects related to virtual labs and the pedagogical perspective of them. We all know that technological advancements, for sure, they are a boon for the society, for the young learners, but at the same time they might pose certain challenges. Therefore, it is important for our young generation to learn about the different kind of critical thinking skills, the problem solving skills as well. So pedagogy has to evolve and evolve in such a way that our education becomes more experiential, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, learner oriented, and at the same time enjoyable. And talking about virtual labs, they make the laboratory experience accessible to each and every child, and of course the experiments can be performed anytime, anywhere. Therefore, we have our 5 days online training session where we are going to discuss the diverse topics like virtual labs policy perspectives, the need and scope for day 1, that is the topic for today, and tomorrow we will be discussing on virtual labs as a learning tool. Then we are going to shed more light on pedagogical use of virtual labs in mathematics, languages and science. And before introducing you to the experts for today's program, here is an important piece of information for all of you. We are proud of the fact that India assumed the G20 presidency and will convene the G20 Leaders Summit for the first time in the country in this year, that's 2023. The nation is deeply committed to democracy and multilateralism. India's G20 presidency is a watershed moment in her history, as it seeks to play a very important role by finding global pragmatic solutions for the well-being of everyone, and in doing so, manifesting the true spirit of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or should I say the world is one family. So let me introduce you to the speakers for today's program. We are joined by Professor Indu Kumar ma'am. Namaskar ma'am.
Namaskar.
Good evening, we welcome you. She's serving as a head at the ICT and TD from CIT NCRT. Then we are also joined by Mrs. Nidhi Adhalakha in the conversation. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
We welcome you. She is serving as Senior Academic Consultant in CIT NCRT. Viewers, in this live session, if you have any of the queries, there are different mediums through which you can contact us. Our contact number is right there on your screens. It is 8800440559. Reach out to us in case of any doubts or queries. Besides that, the specific mail ID for our training sessions is again flashing on your screens. You may kindly note it down. It is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So ma'am, as today it's the first day of our online training, so I request you to introduce the training session to all our viewers and also discuss more about the policy perspectives in the light of virtual labs on Diksha.
Thank you, Simran, for having me. Yeah, virtual lab are something which are recommended in our NEP 2020. As we all know that NEP 2020 has already been given away to the country, and there are some important aspects deliverable as far as NEP 2020 is concerned. So virtual lab are one of the most important deliverable of NEP 2020. And CIT NCRT has already developed virtual labs on Diksha. You all might be aware about Diksha portal which is there, and virtual labs are in place on Diksha. So let us know what are the recommendations of NEP 2020 or what are the policy perspectives as far as NEP 2020 is concerned. So what National Education Policy 2020 says. So, as you can see here on the slide, that creating virtual laboratory so that all students have equal access to quality practicals. So, the purpose of creating virtual labs is to give students an access to quality practicals and also hands on experimental based learning experiences. We should not understand, or we should not infer out of this particular point in NEP 2020, because it further states that providing virtual labs is not with the purpose to replace actual laboratory experiences. That is why it has been stated in NEP 2020. Can we have the slide so that I can read out the specific para which is there in NEP 2020. Though there is no substitute to hands on experiment of physical laboratories, virtual labs have the great potential to enhance actual laboratory experiences. So, these are not substitute to actual laboratory experiences, but whatever laboratory experiences a child gets, virtual labs enhances those real experiments that they perform in the laboratory. So, it is an add on to actual labs. So, these labs based e-content, the NEP 2020 further mentions the lab based e-resources can help students in visualizing the concepts in a better way. So, we conduct experiment on something which we want to test, we want to experiment, we want to explore. So, there are concepts which need all these areas like observation, experimentation, exploring further, and many of them require a real visualization of the things which are inferred through experiments. So, that is also the whole idea, that whatever visualization is required, which is first conducted in the real laboratory, may be further enhanced by using the particular virtual labs. So, that learning experience gets enhanced and they visualize those abstract theoretical concepts in virtual lab settings also.
Of course, these are the important details that ma'am has just shared with us, and I am also honored to inform you that in the conversation we are joined by Professor Amrendra P. Behra sir, Joint Director at CIT NCERT. Namaskar sir, sir, we welcome you. I hope I am clearly audible. Yeah, and sir, we would request you to shed more light on the policy perspectives of the light of virtual labs on Diksha. Professor Behra, we request you to please share more details about the training sessions that we are conducting for all our viewers for the coming 4 days as well, and today we are discussing on virtual labs, the policy perspectives, their scope and need with all our viewers.
Hello.
Yeah, sir, you
Yeah,
are clearly
yes.
audible, and
Yeah.
we, re we request for
Yeah.
your voice.
The National Education Policy 2020 has given a lot of emphasis on use and integration of technology and digital education. And in that context, it talks about having a large number of digital content for teachers and students for their use. And also teachers and students as a prosumer also, they need to develop resources and use also. And in this context, while talking about online learning content and digital content, there is a mention of development and dissemination of virtual labs. And virtual labs, particularly in science and mathematics, has also been emphasized. because that helps us to develop better understanding in the area. And also recently, the National Curriculum Framework for second school education, which was put on public platform for discussion and debate, it has also mentioned a large number of digital resources needs to be used for teaching, learning and assessment. And further also the budget announcement for the year 2022-23 and 2023-24 has mentioned categorically that a large number of virtual labs needs to be created and disseminated for the stakeholders in multiple Indian languages, so that children, if they don't have a facility to have lab experiments with hazardous chemicals and lab equipment, so they can have a practice on all these virtual labs on different concepts and learn it easily. So in that context, we can say that the policy direction NEP 2020 and the NCF for school education, National Curriculum Framework for school education, and the budget announcement of Government of India has given a lot of emphasis on virtual labs. So we need to take this initiative further, and as Professor Indu Kumarji was mentioning, there is a large number of virtual labs content available on Diksha. So we need to harness those virtual lab activities to learn the scientific concepts in a concrete manner. So with these words, I thank all of you for joining me in this discussion. So over to the studio. I hope Professor Indu Kumar
Sure, sir.
light on these aspects.
Sure,
Thank you
sir.
very much. All the best.
Sir, thank you so much for the valuable time and the details that you have shared with all our viewers. And discussing at length about virtual labs, Indu ma'am, we would like to know the whole idea behind setting up of virtual labs.
Yes. So, as we all know that penetration of internet in the past decade has been very great in the context of India, and we are a big internet users also.
Yeah.
So, idea behind having these virtual lab was to harness the potential of internet and providing laboratory experiences based on through the use of internet. So, that was the first idea and premise on the development of virtual labs, and by doing that we can also also meet the cost effectiveness, the idea of cost effectiveness also, because virtual labs are based on internet and all the time we need not to have experiments when we practice it in the laboratory settings, because it is a bit costlier when we practice also the lab experiments. So, lab experiments are conducted once maybe or twice in laboratory settings, but virtual labs make it possible to have them online in a virtual mode. So, they also benefit students to have access to the students who do not have access to physical labs, and where there is a scarcity of resources also in the laboratories, and where equipments are also not available. Sometimes equipments in schools get damaged and they are not procured in a very fast manner. It takes longer to procure all those equipments. So, if we have virtual labs, students are not deprived of having laboratory experiences in the absence of actual labs, and also in the absence of equipments and the chemicals, if we experiment requires such chemicals also. So, that is how they are beneficial to the students also, and then these experiments can be accessed anytime, anywhere. Through your mobile device also you can access these experiments, and if you have internet you can have access to any time or in every any geographical location. So, they are available 24/7. And also it overcomes the constraints of time, because school laboratories are open during school hours only, but virtual labs are available anytime, anywhere, all the time, and students can consolidate their experiences of actual laboratory in a virtual environment. So, these are some of the ideas behind having these virtual labs on Diksha.
And ma'am, as we are discussing at length about the experiences of the students, so we would like to know more about the components of virtual labs or the experiences that one might feel using them.
Yes, so there are various components of virtual labs, as you can see on the screen. Can we switch over to the screen? So, these are some of the important components which are there on Diksha under the virtual lab vertical. So, there are theories and procedures for each experiments which provide information of the concept related to the experiment. So, the theoretical perspective behind any experiment is there in this section. Then animations and videos, we also have animations and videos aligned to each concept, each experiment, where they can visualize the theoretical concepts through animations and videos. But there is another more important component, which is simulations, and this provide near to real experience of performing and experiments, because simulations are there in a simulated environment. We can show you some examples of simulation in the later part of this presentation, so that we get a near to real experience of performing the experiments in virtual settings. Then there is another component, viva voce, and this is for self evaluation based on the experiment that you carried out on virtual lab. You can self assess yourself also, because there are questions based on the concept that you have learned and how much you have grasped out of the a particular lab experience. If it is not very clear, there is a provision of giving feedback also. So, maybe that virtual experience can be revised or edited to give more enhanced learning experience, because through viva voce we can not only assess the students' performance, but it is for the assessment of the virtual lab experience also, because there might be something or it may have been given in such a complex and complicated manner that students is not able to grasp what the experience is made to grasp. So, then there is also a feedback mechanism, which I have already mentioned, that to improve the resources, there is also a section there to provide feedback about each experience, so that we get users perspective in a concrete manner about a specific experiment, and if needed experiments can be revised and then uploaded on the virtual lab. So, these are the important components of virtual lab, and each of these components have very thoughtfully designed to give theoretical perspective, to give an animation video, simulation, viva voce to do assessment, and also feedback on specific experiments.
And ma'am, what are the benefits of virtual labs both for teachers and students? What are the different experiences that they can get from it?
Yeah. So, there are a lot of benefits which are envisaged for students as well as teachers, but before that I would like to show two more slides where we have already mentioned the okay, maybe at the later part we can, or we can go here, we can see the data of the access of virtual labs. After that I will come back
Sure.
to your question. So, you can see here the trend. The virtual labs were launched by Honorable Home Minister on 29th July 2022, and after that we can see that upward trends is there, but we have to reach out to many people. That is why we are organizing this training program for all of you, and the data given here are up to 20th 28th June 2023, and we can see here that upward trend is there. We can also see another slide where we can see the uses and also the time period that our viewers have spent on the virtual lab vertical. So, coming back to your question, Simran, what are the benefits for of virtual labs for learners and also for the teachers? So, as you can see here on the slide, 4 points are given. First benefit, which I already mentioned, but I need to reiterate it, that they can perform experiments multiple times without consuming chemicals, because when they are in actual laboratories, the chemicals are required and other resources and objects are required to perform these experiments. But in the virtual lab setting, they can perform these experiments multiple times, as many times as they want to perform them, and it also consolidate their learning in the actual lab. Then they can revise theoretical concepts also aligned to the particular experiment. They have those theoretical aspects in their textbooks also, but when they log on to the virtual lab, they get the specific theoretical framework aligned to the particular experiment. So, they can revise that there. Then they can also obtain a result of time consuming experiments. There are experiments which are time consuming, but by doing those experiments through virtual labs, they can get all those results in a time bound manner, and they can just meet that time constraints also, and they can get results performing that experiment in an virtual environment. Then analysis of results, improving logical thinking skill is also one of the benefit which is there for the students. When they analyze the results which are aligned to particular experiment, they also improve their logical thinking, and in the process they also learn a lot of other skills as well, which I will be showing you in the slides to come. Let us first know what are the benefits of virtual labs for the teachers. So, if we see here, virtual labs can help teachers in the following ways, which are already given on this slide. So, they can design lesson plan integrating virtual labs. Teachers can also practice the lab experiments which are there on virtual labs, because they know they have already performed that experiment in the real setting also. So, if every time they cannot to consolidate learning, they cannot go to the real lab, they can integrate the virtual lab experiment in the lesson plan to reiterate, to revise the learning which come out of, which is generated through the experiment and the theoretical framework aligned to it. Then they can also use virtual labs to demonstrate experimentation skills and help learners in developing such skills. There are a lot of skills aligned to experimentation. If we experiment, then we need to have those skills. So, those skills are further sharpened. They get sharpened when we perform lab experiments multiple times in virtual settings. So, there are a lot of skills, but some of the common skills are shown here. So, it improves their observations, it also improves their prediction, the skill of prediction. Then they also learn how to control variable and carry out particular experiment, and then they also interpret what they have learned out of an experiment, and also they draw inferences, because when we experiment we draw several inferences also. So, interpretation and drawing inferences is another skill that they learn using virtual labs. Then they also learn how to communicate. Communication skills is also improved, be it a written communication or a verbal communication. When teacher integrates an experiments in her his or her lesson, then maybe she explains, and in turn students also learn what learning they have derived, and they communicate it through verbal communication and also written communication. So, it also gets enhanced, and also they form conclusion based on the experiments that they have carried out. So, these are some of the skills which a teacher can develop in herself also, and as well as they can sharpen these skills among their students as well. So,
And ma'am,
these, yeah.
we would also like to know how we all can access virtual labs on Diksha platform. And our viewers in the comment section, they are again and again asking us, is virtual experience the similar as physical experience in the laboratory?
No, in the very beginning of my presentation, I have already mentioned that they are not developed with the purpose of replacing or substituting the lab experiments in physical settings. The purpose is not that, but purpose is far beyond that. They are not the replacement of education, the actual labs, but an experiment in physical lab can be conducted once or twice. They are not meant for practicing that experiment again and again. But if we have the same experiment in virtual setting, then maybe students get that opportunity to consolidate the experiment, consolidate their learning on the particular experiments. But yes, the resource crunch is there that exists in India. So, if that is not there, there is a scarcity of resources in the current scenario, then maybe they can learn something out of the virtual labs. They are not deprived of deprived because they do not have resources in the physical laboratories. So, then a teacher can integrate the labs in her lesson plan and explain the particular experiments.
So, let us try and access them on the Diksha platform.
Yes, so you have to have a browser with you to access them through internet. So, here I have pasted the link, we will go through link, and in the link you can see the URL for accessing virtual labs, diksha.gov.in. So, when you type this URL in the top menu bar after clicking onto your browser, you will get this page, and here you can see under the banner Man Ki Baat, several dots have been given, several dots are there. So, since NEP 2020 has many deliverables which we have to meet, so it is a recent building up on Diksha. So, we have at present we have these new initiatives aligned to this banner, so that our stakeholders are not deprived of new deliverables on the virtual labs. So, if we from the last dot to the fourth dot, if we come where my cursor is there. So, if we click on to this, you will get this page opened, virtual labs, and if we click on to, can we go back Nidhi? Yeah. So, you can see that explore is written over the banner. Yes, please go back to virtual labs. So, if we click on to explore, we will land on to the laboratory. So, let us click on to explore, and here we are on a virtual lab. So, you can see what all is there. So, if we scroll down, we will see about virtual lab. So, a brief description about virtual lab is given here. So, you can read the purpose with which these virtual labs have been designed, and in the later part of it you can see the class wise alignment of resources. So, you can see here experiments from class 6 to class 12. So, class 6, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th have been given. If you want to access experiments aligned to any of these classes, so you can click on to explore, like Dr. Nidhi has clicked on to class 10th, explore written below class 10th. So, you will get this drop down the option of Hindi and English. So, if we click on to English option, we will get further drop down mathematics and science, because with class 10th we have aligned the experiments of science and mathematics. So, let us watch an experiment belonging to the subject science. So, let us click on to science, and here you can see the list of experiments for science for class 10th. So, here where Mrs. Nidhi's cursor is there, you can see the list of experiments. So, we have planned to show you experiment number 24. So, if we click on to experiment number 24, which is about photosynthesis. So, we will get the resources or components aligned to this particular experiment. So, let us click on to this, yes, and please scroll up. So, here you can see the experiment aligned to photosynthesis. If we click on to this link given here, so we will get this page, and as I have already mentioned that the components of virtual labs, you can see here theory, you can see here animations, and you can see here all the other components. Can you scroll on each of the components? So, animations are there and the simulations are also there. So, I would request Mrs. Nidhi to just show us a simulation of this particular experiments, or you can also show the video first and then maybe we can see simulation, and she will also explain the particular experiment which is on photosynthesis. Over to Nidhi.
Thank you, ma'am. So, before talking about simulation, I would like to show this animation. In this animation, you can see that basics of this experiment is provided. They have shown that what all materials we require and what is the background information, that is given in brief, and majorly the focus is that how the experiment works. So, here all the steps are shown. So, first of all, you can go through this animation to have a brief or a basic information about the experiment, or you can read the same through theory. And now, I will take you to the simulator. So, as ma'am talked about various experimentation skills, like some of them were observation, prediction, controlling variables, all these we can see in this experiment. So, here let us start.
You can make it full screen.
Okay.
Or is it full screen?
I will just zoom in. So, you can see that the setup is provided for this particular experiment. In this corner, you can see there is a control panel. So, here we have control panel, and one of the skill for performing any experiment is controlling variables. So, students can choose and can control variables, whether they want to provide power source of 40 watt or 100 watt, they can choose according to their.
So, as we all know that photosynthesis is the process of how plants make their food through leaves. So, that is the process, and which is just demonstrated in this particular experiment. Yes, Dr. Nidhi.
Yes. So, in this what we are focusing on, that how light impacts photosynthesis, which particular color of light has major impact. So here you can see that we can keep this light source at different distance. We can select 100 centimeter or 50 centimeter. When a student is performing, student is getting so many options. So what they can do, they can perform this experiment using all the possible variables, and they can analyze the results. So we'll show how that works. So here I have chosen clear light or white light, and I am clicking on start. You can see that the bubbles have started forming and the timer has started. So I'll stop it at around 30 seconds. So you can see that at 30 seconds 3 bubbles were formed when white light was provided. Now if we change light to red light, let's see what happens. So here you can see that the frequency of bubbles has increased. I'll stop again at the same time. 30 seconds, it's 32. So the number of bubbles formed are 7. So you can see that from in clear light only 3 bubbles were formed, but using red light the number of bubbles have increased considerably. Now I can change it to green, and again I am doing the same steps. I'll stop at the same time. So the number of bubbles formed are 4, and now I am using blue light again, starting the experiment. Will stop around 30 seconds. Number of bubbles formed 8. So if you notice that the out of all the 4 options, the number of bubbles formed were maximum in blue light. So students, what students can do, students can use different variables and can make a table that how number of bubbles change. That means how photosynthesis gets affected by different types of light.
So that means photosynthesis is faster in red and blue light.
Yes, ma'am. So photosynthesis, or the rate of photosynthesis, is faster when we provide red light or blue light, but it is less when sunlight or white light is provided. So this conclusion students can easily remember because they are performing this experiment.
And before coming to this presentation also, we both were discussing it, because in our natural setting we don't have that provision to have red and blue light, so that photosynthesis can occur faster. And then we came to know that there are indoor farming also which is being done these days. So in indoor farming we have options to have the plants exposed to green, blue and red light as well. And some of the cultivation which are done indoor are the saffron, cultivation of saffron, and what was the another one?
There are many indoor plants which we keep at home as well.
Yeah.
So many of you must have kept many indoor plants, and you can see the result, whether the photosynthesis is faster or slower by changing the color of bulb
light
which you are using inside the room.
And that's quite an interesting observation for all our students to do.
Yes.
And ma'am, we have the last 5 minutes left in the conversation, and we have one question from our viewers, if you allow. So our viewers are asking us, what are the different subjects, practicals or experiments that are available on Diksha, and also for which classes?
So classes I have already mentioned. We have covered class 6 to 12th. But right now we have around more than 200 experiments, 208 or something. Some of them are for science, some are for mathematics also, and some are for languages as well. A few experiments we have for English language as well. But as of now we haven't covered all the experiments which with virtual lab experiments, because it's a newer development, and in the past year we could have 200 and around 208 experiments in place. But as a way forward we are planning to have more than 800 labs on this particular vertical of Diksha, and slowly and gradually we will top up the experiments against each class, and maybe we will cover all the experiments which are there for each classes. And in due course maybe we can also have some lab experiences for subjects like social science also. So
All
thank
right,
you.
ma'am, thank you so much for all the details that you have enlightened us with in the program, discussing at length about the virtual labs, its components and its usage, and for the next 4 days as well we are going to discuss it in detail. Thank you, Indu ma'am, for being a part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi, for connecting with us here and also
Thank you.
demonstrating us through the experiments, and a word of thanks for Professor Bhera for his time and the information that he has shared with us. So, viewers, here is an important piece of information for all of you, as you are enjoying our training sessions, and so many of you have connected with us online through NCRT official. You are sharing your comments, and we will be more than happy if you share your questions with us, so we can take the answers of the questions in the upcoming sessions. So, how you can find all the details about the training sessions, here are the few outlooks. There is a website that is flashing on your screens. All you have to do is type www.ciet.nic.in, and you will land on this homepage of the website. So, in order to know more about this particular training session, click on events, and the third last option says workshop and training. So, here you can see that there are 3 kinds of trainings for you, the upcoming ones, the current and the completed ones. So, the completed activity entails all the activities that have already been done. You can still watch the sessions, and for this particular activity you have to click here, online training on pedagogical perspective of virtual labs on Diksha. You will land on this particular web page. So, here are the details about the 5 days online training program for all of you. As it was the first day, so we discussed about virtual labs, policy perspectives, the need and scope. Tomorrow we are going to discuss at length about virtual labs as a learning tool. Then for rest of the 3 days, it is pedagogical usage of virtual labs for mathematics, languages and science. So, what is the objective of the training program? Here are the details to explain the policy recommendations for the requirement of virtual labs, at the same time describing the significance of using virtual labs in the teaching, learning and assessment environment, the scope of virtual labs and also the possibilities of integrating virtual labs in teaching, learning and assessment of different subjects. Now, who all can participate? This particular information is in regard to the post session activity that we conduct for all of you. So, you all can participate, whether it is the students, teachers, teacher educators, parents, administrators, general public, etc. Then the program schedule lies here, the day and the date of the program against the title of the session, then the resource persons who connect with us, and at the same time with the banners, the video links will be uploaded shortly. So, for any reason if you haven't watched our training sessions, you can get back to the training sessions through the video links. Then let's follow up this page, how to participate. These are the details about the post session activity. So, the first step is registration. You can register yourself by clicking on the link or by scanning the QR code that is right there on your screens. Watch all our live training sessions from 10th till 14th of July at 4 to 5 p.m. The different areas through which you can connect with us are eVidya channels and of course our YouTube channel, that is NCRT official. Then participation in the post session activity and a certificate. Now, if you score over 70% in the quiz, then you will be able to receive a certificate from NCRT. The link will be uploaded on 14th of July, that would be the concluding day of our 5 days online training session. It will be open on 14th of July and the closing date will be 14th August by 6 p.m. So, you have ample amount of time to submit your entries with us. At the same time, you all know that your feedback matters a lot. So, please do write to us, do submit your feedback either by scanning the QR code or filling the Google form that is available over here. For any queries, you all know that you can reach out to us through our training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in, that is our mail ID, or you can also connect with us through our helpline number, that is 8800440559. Once again, thank you all the speakers for being a part of the communication today, and thank you to all the viewers for connecting with us, and don't go anywhere, because next up we have our session of Sahyog, guidance for mental well-being and psychosocial support to all the students and viewers watching our program out there. Besides that, here is an important piece of information regarding NCERT textbooks. As you all know that NCERT textbooks for the academic year 2023 to 2024 are available all across the country. You may purchase these textbooks from NCERT sales counters that are currently located at New Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Kolkata and Guwahati. Also, if you would like to place an order online for NCERT textbooks, then here is our website link that's flashing on your screens. I am repeating it. It's www.ncrtbooks.ncert.gov.in. At the same time, if you would like to download the PDF or the soft copy version of NCERT textbooks, then there are different mediums. One of them is ePathshala website through Diksha platform, also through NCERT's mobile application. And viewers, to know more about the authorized vendors, feel free to explore the website of NCERT, that is www.ncert.nic.in. Once again, stay connected with us, keep watching eVidya channels. Namaskar.